Hey everyone, my name is Max Bielfeldt, Director of Sales for EBF, one of America's fastest growing MSPs for enterprise mobility. Welcome to EBF Innovation. Personally identifiable information is the most common variety of data to be lost, according to Verizon's Data Breach Investigation Report. And joining me today from Cologne, Germany will be Jerry Amadon. Jerry is a senior advisor and has been at EBF over a decade. He was there for the inception of most of EBF's products, including EBF Contacts, which is where we're going to jump into today. Jerry, how's it going?
I'm doing good, Max. How about yourself?
Pretty good. Jerry, it was funny. We were prepping for this video, and just this morning before doing this, I was reading the Wall Street Journal. Sure enough, right there, article titled "Online Privacy Protections Gaining Traction with U.S. Lawmakers." And it's basically saying how these tech giants, your Googles and Facebooks, have actually flipped from resisting privacy legislation to now pushing hard for a federal privacy standard. It's perfect timing because, of course, here we are to talk about PII today. And you had mentioned this came up during a meeting with one of your German customers. Is that right?
Yeah, we had been talking to a customer of ours that runs IT for banks here, kind of randomly, about chat and the explosion of chat as a tool in the workplace. The discovery of friends and users for the apps leverages native contacts for iOS and Android. That's basically where we started. And that led to a discussion about this new generation of chat apps not being GDPR compliant.
It's funny in the U.S. right now. The PII is governed by a myriad of federal and state laws, but it's sector specific. So, you have GLBA for banks, which requires financial institutions to disclose information sharing practices. And I think this applies to most people. They know HIPAA for hospitals, basically protecting your medical records and making sure that your personal information, with regard to medical, is protected, making sure the right people are viewing those and only those people. But these sector-specific laws are often based around this European GDPR. Even the wording, sometimes you look at it, it's basically copied from European regulations and just pasted, and we're following that trend. So, Jerry, obviously, with you being based in Europe, in your position, you've lived this life of more stringent privacy laws. That seems to be, in a way, the way things are coming to America. I mean, so tell me, how does GDPR fit into the picture with these customers you're referencing?
Every EU company, large and small, is required to protect data as stated in GDPR. And the fines for not protecting that data, or at least doing what can be done, fines can be substantial. So this isn't a joke for companies here in Germany or Europe. And every company has people joining and possibly leaving with address books full of names, addresses, phone numbers, business contacts. And not only that, before an employee would leave, those contacts are often already synced to public or private clouds. This is the point where we stopped and said, okay, let's get this solved.
So basically, the concern was corporate contacts being synced into private and public clouds. And EBF Contacts was created with the goal of restricting this corporate information to comply with GDPR.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, we decided to first automate deployment with contacts coming out of a central address book like Microsoft Exchange Online, Office 365, and we designed a managed app. So if the employee leaves, the admin removes a profile, the app is gone, and the contacts are gone. Basically, we start with the contacts are sandboxed and under the admin's control.
So in the past couple of years, I know there's been immense employee turnover. Microsoft Work Index predicted that 40% of the global workforce will consider leaving their employer this year. I mean, this extreme workplace shift is even being dubbed the Great Resignation. You tack on this to companies making changes to their at-home work policies. I mean, there's a reason a lot of my friends have never even met any of their coworkers in person.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, let's say an employee joins remotely, for example. and registers. And the app is pushed, and they can go into EBF Contacts, navigate the company hierarchy, snoop around a bit, discover department heads or alternate contacts. The standard native contacts app is a bit flat in this case. Or you have to invent something on your own, misuse a contact field for supervisor or something. So the richness, let's say, of the contacts, which of the contacts are internal, which are external, which are customers. Anyone that might not know the app, caller ID helps them right away. If someone from the firm or a customer calls, they didn't do anything, and they're brought directly into the company contacts.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge. I get the importance of knowing who is calling these days. And I don't know if it's the same in Europe, but in America, you pick anyone off the street and ask them how long's it been since they got a spam call. I mean, I've already muted two. It feels like just recording this. I'm joking, obviously, but it feels like it sometimes. Like you were talking about, you have employees coming and going, and you don't want your new coworker to come up looking like a spam call. And especially a customer whose number is logged in the CRM or something, and you're missing that one chance to talk live.
Yeah, caller ID is big here as well. The app is integrated into iOS native contacts, so there's no setup for that caller ID for the user. And it's the caller ID and keeping your contacts physically separate that I think makes a lot of sense for the users. And that sense helps the uptake of the app, using the app, or basically having the app work for you. And that helps a lot separate work from your work that you're doing in your phone, and keep it separate. And it might even encourage you to do some cleanup of your own, taking out duplicate contacts from your private list. And this basically pushes that work, the admin's work, down to the users and makes it available for them. And that's always the way to scale a big job, especially something as big as data protection.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, EBF, we're always end user focused, and the tools we create reflect that. We know when employees have a high level of confidence in what they're using, they're unintentionally making life easier for IT. And we make tools to be productive and convenient for them while being less of a risk to the company. Jerry, hey, it was great to catch up. Thanks so much for joining.
Sure, Max. Hey, we didn't get to any other topics, but those customer chats I was mentioning brought us into other areas: files, printing, even activating company phone plans. So just let me know, and we can cover those too sometime.
Definitely will. We're happy to answer any questions for those watching, so feel free to reach out. Okay, for EBF America and EBF Germany, thanks for listening.
See you, Max.